This is Korea's 7th level of hell. It reproduces a frightening punishment in hell. Didn't expect that once it was shown, won the 2nd place in the Korean box office. No one wants to watch it again. The story started. A fireman was caught in an accident. He fell from above. Before he fell, the girl he rescued was on his chest. The weird thing was, he was fine. The girl ran to her parents. The fireman also went to ask them, but the parents were only worried about their kid. The fireman talked to them. No one paid attention to him. This time he heard someone scream, "Jin Jae-hong!" The fireman looked around. Under the building, he saw 2 people wearing black. He shouted at them to leave, but he was taken aback. Over there, he saw himself lying on the ground. From the reaction of his team, he was dead. The 2 people wearing black went beside the fireman and introduced themselves. It turns out they were messengers of hell, and he is the one they were looking for. The last time such a heroic sacrifice of the dead appeared was 422 years ago. The girl went up to him and raised both thumbs. Next they will bring him to hell. The fireman couldn't accept it. He wasn't able to say goodbye to his mom. Next, his feet were floating. There was a big light coming from him, and he was sent to hell. Hell was filled with people who just passed. Here he will overcome 7 punishments. All innocent people can be reincarnated. The fireman didn't want to be reincarnated. He just wants to go home to his mom. 3 hell messengers meet. The 3rd messenger is a middle-aged man who looks mature and steady. He is also the boss of the other 2. The 3 of them brought him to Hell's Gate. When it opened, a word appeared above. The girl shouted excitedly, "He is indeed a righteous ghost." But they didn't know that on the 1st level is the killer's hell. The trial in hell is from light to heavy. This means the killers are the lightest in the fireman's charges. The fireman who was saving people all day, but he was charged with murder. The fireman retorted that he had never killed anyone, but the messenger explained, "If because of your words, deeds or cyber violence, indirect death can also be found guilty." Suddenly, the ground he was standing opened, turned into a lava volcano. He looked down the crack. Countless souls are being burned. They are all sinners who committed the crime of killing in their lifetime. Because of his good heart he wanted to save them. Just when he caught an arm and was about to pull it back, I saw an ugly man yelling at him. He is the owner of the murderers in hell, King Byung-chung. The king asked the fireman, "Why in a firefighting operation, give up rescuing your colleagues? It led to the innocent death of colleagues who could have been saved." The fireman was speechless with guilt. Seeing this, the 2 officials quickly accused the fireman of being afraid of death. He was about to be sentenced. At this time, the messenger who defended the fireman came out. He restored the truth of the matter. It turned out the situation was critical. The building is in danger of collapsing at any time. His colleague asked him to rescue people first. He can just rescue him later. That day, the fireman saved 8 to 9 lives. He was about to go back to save his colleague. The building collapsed. The Khan made his verdict. The fireman was innocent. The trial in hell was removed. A huge stone pressed against the fireman's chest. Good people will always blame themselves for not doing well enough. Up next, they sailed across the Styx River. They come to the next level, Lazy Hell. This place is dedicated to the trial of people who waste their time and life. The queen of the river gave up the complaint against the fireman because he has been hardworking, even saving a cat. The queen was touched. Even if in his own hell, she will erect a statue for the fireman. Then the queen asked him, "What makes you want to help others regardless of life and death?" Under the hopeful eyes of the queen, the fireman said, "For money." Once he said it, everyone was surprised. The queen's face became cold. The messengers were nervous. Because money is also a false god, it is also a sin to believe in it. At the queen's command, the fireman's bamboo raft was pushed out. He hurriedly turned his head. Under the waterfall, a terrible one came into sight. A huge grinding plate was full of people. They're continuously running. If the dust catches them, they will be crushed. Once lazy people come here, they can only run forever. This is their punishment for wasting their lives. The fireman was shocked. The 2 messengers swam and pulled his raft. They asked the queen to look at the fireman's life again. It turns out, he worked so many jobs. After work, he went to the barbecue shop as a waiter, go to the bathhouse to clean on the weekend. Even in the middle of the night he won't rest. He has also been a driver, and all of this was for his sick mother and his little brother. He would send all his money to them, even before his death. He never rested a day in his life. The queen was touched. She decided he was innocent. They continued to travel, but on their way towards the 3rd level, there was an accident. They met countless ferocious-looking enemies. The 2 messengers were protecting him. The gap between the beheading of the enemy's soul. The messenger told him, "You have relatives who died unjustly on earth. Become a ghost." This is what caused it. The fireman was frantic. He first thought of his weak mom. It's hard to shake off the enemy. The leading messenger decided to explore the world, find out who has become the enemy. He went into the fireman's house, but he saw his mom. She was still alive. She was puzzled by the sudden intruder, asked who he was using sign language. It turns out the fireman's mom was mute. The messenger turned his head, cried a few tears. He lied and said he was rescued. He heard something happened and wanted to see him. Mother's eyes were red. She hugged him. Comforting him was like comforting herself. He also found out it was the fireman's brother who died unjustly. His brother's ghost fled after seeing the messenger. The messenger went after him, but little brother has escaped. So he went to the little brother's camp, and he quickly found out the truth. It turned out that when he was on duty a few days ago, he was accidentally shot by a new soldier. He was hurt. The recruits quickly called for the lieutenant, but when the lieutenant saw he was unable to stand, he was afraid it might affect his promotion, so he decided to bury the corpse. They were in panic and didn't realize the brother was still alive. So they buried him alive like this. He was buried for a whole day. After his death, his soul turned into a ghost in order for him not to be exposed. The lieutenant lied and said he ran away. The recruit has been living in fear and guilt. He's been in a trance all day. At night he would go and drink in bars. The messenger followed him, and he saw the ghost. He was ready to crash the disco ball. The messenger stopped it. He finally trapped him on the electric tower with a rope. But the ghost was too strong. They buried my trust in them that day. Betrayed me. His resentment exploded. It caused a blackout for the place. Then he broke off the rope and escaped. He caught up with the recruit again. He saw him went to his mom's house. The recruit could not bear the torture of conscience. He decided to tell her the truth, and he himself decided to die. He put his head on the rope and hanged. Who knew that the ghost was behind the messenger now? He pleaded the messenger to recruit, in the condition that he won't run away again. The messenger agrees. The recruit was saved. He asked the messenger to tell the recruit to live life happily. He doesn't blame him anymore. When the recruit agreed, his anger was at peace. On the other hand, the firemen passed through the third floor without danger. They are at the land of lies under the control of Tatian. People who lie here will have their tongues pulled out. The unjust hell controlled by the king of five senses. All the prisoners here are locked up in ice, and the place of betrayal by the king of the Song dynasty. All the prisoners here are trapped in the mirror. The firemen passed it all, but when they came to the violent hell, the fireman encountered a problem. He had beaten his young brother for no reason in high school. My brother was severely malnourished. He didn't have the strength to fight. After beating his brother, he left home. Until now he still hasn't asked for forgiveness. The King Gang decided the fireman was guilty. The penalty will be imposed soon. When they saw the fireman in danger, the two messengers called their boss. He was still busy disposing the body of the fireman's brother. He can't make it in time. He asked the girl to apply for a joint trial, so this level and the last level will be judged together. But it comes at a price. If he doesn't pass, he will be punished in two places at the same time, and shall never be reborn. Even the messenger who defended him, they will also be deprived of the opportunity. But at the moment, there is no other way. On the other hand, the mom who was mute, she found out it was the camp. She knew her son didn't run away. She went there to find her son, but was seen by the lieutenant. He tore the son off the woman, ordered her to leave, but the mom won't budge. She took out the map given to her. It was the map where her son was buried. Now the lieutenant was nervous. He pushed the lady. She fell down. The brother, who had put down his hatred, saw the scene. He can no longer suppress his anger. The skin on his face began to fall off. He became a ghost again. The messenger wanted to stop it, but he grabbed him by the neck and threw him out. He became a big ghost. The dust were flying. He swore he will punish the lieutenant. There was chaos in the camp. The lieutenant was thrown. The messenger quickly stopped him, but he was not the enemy. No one can face the son and hurt his mom. On the other hand, because his brother was having a mess, the fireman was also affected. There was also sand in hell. He was trapped in the sand. He was slowly sinking, almost buried. At this moment, the younger brother heard the girl's desperate cry. He looked up, saw his own brother. While he was still staring, the messenger caught him. The danger has been removed. At the same time, they arrived at the last hell, heaven and earth. This is where the most serious crime, from his harm to his family, The leader here is the king of hell. He won't even give him a chance of trial. He declared him guilty. It turned out that the night the fireman beat up his brother. At the same time, he prepared to cover his own mother with a pillow because the mother fell into a coma and lost consciousness. 2 young children can't support a family at all. The fireman decided to die with his family, but his brother stopped him. After that night, the fireman left home with guilt for his family. 15 years and he hasn't come back, but was busy earning money and sending it. Everyone thought that only his brother knew about it, but the king said his mom was actually awake that night. She didn't know anything. The fireman who heard about it collapsed. He knelt down and confessed all his sins, but before that, he just wanted to say sorry to his mom. He cried and pleaded to the king, but the king didn't hear his request. The crime of killing one's own mother, how can it be forgotten? At this time, the whole hell was shaking. It turned out to be a dream. With the help of the messenger, his brother went into his mom's dreams. He told his mom, "I'm going to heaven to be an official." He bid his mom goodbye and told her what happened that night. He wanted his mom to forgive his brother. In exchange for the chance of brother's reincarnation, the idiot feels guilty about his mother. He won't dare go home and just work hard and send money back. Zai-hong, that idiot, lived his whole life like this. For my mom and me, when his brother was crying, Si-hong-a. It was the first time he heard his mom say the words, "Mother actually knows everything." She comforted him that it's fine. She didn't even blame his brother. Instead, she blamed herself for all the mistakes. They hugged each other. "I'm sorry." Everyone was touched by the scene. The fireman cried and ran. He knelt on the ground and called for his mom. He got his forgiveness. Then the underworld has no right to condemn him. After that, he got the chance to be reincarnated. There are too many regrets in our life. We often work hard to make our family better, but forgot that family needs its company. If you had a chance, then please turn your company into a valuable gift and give it to the family who needs it the most.